This is a screenshot of the property screen. You came from the main menu to come to the property screen. This is the primary screen within the application, or the parent screen. And what the parent screen means is you create the property in this screen, and then downstream from that you can add the owner information, maintenance, and tenant information. Now in this application there are some little items, like for example over here, as you create new properties where there's 3 sample records in here now, if you click on the button with the arrow in it at the end of the row, what will happen is that information will be displayed. For example, if I click here on that, it shows the information for that record, for record sample 2. Now there's not a lot of other supporting information in this particular record, so I'm going to return, and there is the other information. Now in here I just put sample data. Now I want to point out that it'll show the information at the top of the screen that is a collection or combined fields information, and it'll also show it over here where it says 123 sample address. This one cannot be edited, and this one cannot be edited. You always add it on this location. What you would next do is you'd put, if it's an apartment or unit, you would put that in, the city, state or province, postal or zip, the county or suburb, the country, the crossroad if you're trying to locate it, the dwelling age of the particular property, the type of dwelling, a description of that you just type right in here, then the amenities that the property has, and down here on the bottom you can take any other special notes to additional items that are in the property that you can add to this description. Now on the next tab, when you wait a second, now this is going to take a little bit, what it's going to do, it's going to use the address that you added in the property description, and it's going to show you where the location is. In this case, I put a bogus address in there. You can see it, 123 sample address. If I'd had the actual address, this street would have come up in the local area exactly where I put the address, and then you could take the little person and actually pull him down and put him on there, and you can get a street view where you can actually see what it looks like in that neighborhood in case you were looking for that particular address. And note up above here that it also shows up in this area. Now where that information came from was out of these fields that you see right here that you added the data for. So if you skip or do not type in the information that's in here, it's not going to give you an accurate disclosure of where that particular location is on the Google Maps. Now there's another item here. These are these blue fields that you see here. What the blue fields do is they allow you to take, for example, on the iPad where it has scrollers and you cannot edit the information on the scrollers, what this will allow you to do is to go to an off-screen file that is not, it is connected to this particular field here, and if you use this field you'll notice that there is a drop down in there for different things. But if you wanted to add or edit this particular field, when you first start using the app, you can add the information that you want in this particular thing by clicking here. And what that's going to do is bring up this screen. You can either click in and edit, and by the way, if you click on these it'll change them so you can either edit them up here or down here. Now if you had 1,000 of them in there, all you'd have to do is to bring it up to the top where you can edit it, is to click it, and then you can come up here and edit or add. Now if you're adding a brand new entry in here, click the new, it'll pop up and you add the new here in this location, and then when you're done you can return back to one of the main files that you came from, whatever you want to go to. Now make sure that, and I'll point this out on all the screens, that there is a commit and revert. This is if you're on the server and you make the changes on the server, you have to commit them to save them or revert to cancel what the changes are that you made. Let's go back to the new record, and that whenever you create a new record, be sure that you only click one time. If you click twice you're going to get 2 new records, so do not click twice. Let's go back to property. That, by the way, is true of all the things in this application. You do not need to click twice to get anything to function. For example, in this screen, if I wanted to use the find mode, I would say click it in the find mode. What it'll do is it'll empty out all the fields where they're blank, and then you can use any field that is not part of a portal, which is a scrolling field with lots of records. You could just type in the actual thing that you have any information for that you want to find. If you know that you're looking for a specific thing, like everything in this zip code, you could copy, and then when you go ahead and go into find mode, you could paste it and then hit the do find, which will now find all the records that have that content. You can also mix and match. You can add certain things, like if you wanted to put the county and you only wanted to have a certain location in the county, like the city, you would use both fields to put the information in there, and then it'll shorten the record count down to those items that match that particular information. Let's do a real crazy thing. If you wanted to find a record that had dwellings under 12 years old or under 10 years old, and you did a search, if you use the back arrow pointing key, which is right next to your shift key on your keyboard, that will give you, which is an arrow pointing in this direction, if you put it ahead of it and then put 10 in the find mode when it's empty, and then do a find, it'll only find properties that are 10 or less years old. So there's just another way to use it. If you wanted to find a property that had certain amenities, say for example ones that had a golf course near them, a jacuzzi tub, if everything you click in there, it'll only go down and find the records that match that particular information. So this is very versatile as far as looking things up. This particular field up here is important. What it allows you to do is to pick your money, like for example, if you're going to use the pound note, if you wanted to use the pound and put it in there, it would change the entire application's money symbols over to that particular thing that you picked. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to be able to say, add a new record. Well, in this case, there's a new record. You can delete a record. Now, it is very, very important. Never delete the parent record without first deleting all the child records. So, for example, if you deleted a property, you would have to delete the owner information. Anything that was tied to it on maintenance and tenants would all have to be deleted first for that particular property. So this property ID 123, you would have to delete first the tenant, the maintenance, and the owner, and then the property record. Now here, I don't recommend ever deleting a property record because there's history information in there, and the history information is important to go back to. So even though you have the ability to delete it if you had to because there was some catastrophic error of some kind, you would not want to delete it just for the purpose of deleting it. So for that purpose, you see everything, like for example, the commit and revert are also on this screen for the server only. If you're using the iPad, iPhone with FM Go, you do not have to commit or revert because as you leave each field within the entire application, it will update as you're leaving the fields on FM Go. Down here in the corner, there is a scrolling picture field that allows you to add your own photos of the property that you're indicating is here. If you want to see a close-up of that picture, click the field here, and what it'll do is it'll go ahead and open into the portal where you can see a larger version of this picture. In addition to that, you will see that it has the address and information up here at the top for that particular property. And if you want to put in comments, you can add comments about this particular piece of this particular picture. Now there's one picture per portal, but there's a multiple that you can put in on the main property screen. This is called the property portal screen. Now when I was saying portals before, you cannot search on anything that is a portal record like this with multiple entries. You can do a find on this field or this field, but nothing within a portal. Okay, so that pretty much takes care of this video. I'll go back to property. If you have any questions, you can always send me an email or get on Skype and I can explain things to you of how they work. Thank you.